Time once again to take another look at the line, the spread, maybe a unique betting angle for some of these NFL games this week. Larry Hartstein, the senior analyst for SportsLine, is here with me to talk about some NFC matchups. How's it going, Larry?
It's going really well. I had a tremendous week at sportsline.com, and I'm looking for a big week in week 3.
Starting off with the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Giants this week. Both these teams are 0-2 right now, and if history tells us anything, it is almost impossible to make the playoffs if you start your season 0-3. So who's going to save their season Sunday?
I'm not sure who's going to save their season, but initially the line, very tempting to take the Atlanta Falcons. They played well in the second half against the Buccaneers. They were only down 3 points. The Giants historically have been a terrible team at home against the spread, 4-10 under Daniel Jones, covering the number. So should they be laying a full field goal to anybody with how bad they've been? And I actually think this is a good spot for them. First of all, they're retiring Eli Manning's number at halftime. That's going to provide a little bit of an emotional lift. And Daniel Jones played mistake-free. There were no turnovers in Washington. They should have won the game. And Matt Ryan, even though he did lead the team back, he's a statue. At this point in his career, he is so immobile. He can't move. Daniel Jones, on the other hand, we see how dynamic he can be running the ball and throwing the ball if he can just avoid the turnovers, which he did last week. And I just think with everything that went on this week, with Kenny Galladay getting upset and there being talk about, are there issues with the offensive coordinator? I think they get it together for this week. I think Galladay has a huge game, and I will take the Giants and believe that the Falcons will make those key mistakes like they did last week in Tampa.
Up next, the Washington football team is 1-1 right now, using a backup quarterback. They travel to meet the Buffalo Bills this week. And wow, Bills really fell into place, blowing the Miami Dolphins out of the water. Final score 35-0 for that matchup. Now there's a big spread between the Bills and Washington this week. So can the Bills cover it?
Yeah, the initial reaction is everything is back to normal and back to what we expected with the Bills with that 35-0 shellacking of Miami. But if you look a little deeper, it wasn't that dominant of a performance. And Josh Allen is not the same quarterback, at least so far this year, only completing 56% of his passes. You look at all the advanced metrics, and he's really been a bottom 10 quarterbacks so far this season. Now, Washington has not looked great. They probably should be 0-2, but this is such a huge number. And Taylor Heineke, that kid is really legit. I think he is a legitimate starter in this league, 34 of 46 for almost 350 yards. And there's something about him. The players believe in him. So yes, I think Buffalo wins. Yes, Buffalo might get up 10 or 14 points, but I think the back door will be open. So I'm going to lean towards taking the point.
And finally, an interesting game Monday night to wrap up week 3, the Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys. They're both 1-1 right now. But how's the injury report affecting your play on this game?
Yeah, serious injuries on both sides. The Eagles just lost Brandon Graham, and we know the Cowboys already without DeMarcus Lawrence. Amari Cooper showing up on the injury report with the rib injury. They're already without Michael Gallup. That's going to leave CeeDee Lamb and Cedric Wilson. I do think Cooper will play, but how many hits is he going to take, and is he then going to be forced to leave the game? This line opened all the way at 6. It's down to 4, and I think that's the right move. The Eagles were dominant in game 1 against the Falcons, and in game 2, they actually outplayed the 49ers, even though they lost 17-11. They averaged 6 yards a play. The Niners only 4.5 yards a play. They blew it on 4th down, but otherwise should have definitely covered that game. Instead, they didn't cover or win, but I think they'll keep it close in a division matchup. So getting over a field goal, I'm going to lean with the Eagles and the points.
Larry, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks again for breaking all of this down for us this week.
Anytime, Katie.
For even more sports betting news, make sure you head over to SportsLine. I'm Katie Johnston for CBS Local Sports.